What's going on, everybody? It's Josh here with Zero Gravity. Imagine if you picked up your laptop or looked at your phone today, you've probably seen there's a ton of news going around. I kind of want to go over a little bit about that and about how it'll affect us as individual investors. And I also want to take a couple of looks at a few stocks that I'm watching. And also, I'll do a little bit of a review on AMC and how it's looking for us right now. One thing before we get started, if you can, hit the subscribe and like button for me. It helps with the YouTube algorithms and lets me get a few more people to see my videos and helps me grow as a YouTuber. I'd appreciate it very much. Now, before we get started, for all my apes out there, hopefully, starting out this week, none of you guys went full gorilla like old Ark Egos here. Man, this is absolutely insanity. Reading in this, pretty much what it is they took a lot of high-risk bets going into Viacom, Discovery, a lot of these recovery plays. The market took a little bit of a downturn, as everybody knows. If you've been looking for an opportunity to buy, everything's on sale. You can't pass up a deal right now. Well, anyways, they took a pretty quick downturn, and then it caused them to have to get a margin equity call, and then they had to start liquidating a lot of those stocks. Now, when you do a $20 billion, $30 billion equity call, and you start selling a lot of those shares, then of course it's going to go down pretty quickly. A lot of those was Baidu, Tencent, Viacom, Discovery. It looks like they had went into a lot of heavily marginalized recovery plays with a lot of China stocks. And of course the market took a downturn. They did decide to delist a few stocks, and it got really bad really quick for these guys. Now it looks like they were doing a 5x leverage. So for every $200,000 that they had in their account, they had $1 million worth of buying power. And they didn't go with just pure stock purchases. They went with a lot of options, stuff like that as well. It dropped super fast, and of course the margin kicks in, and they need equity, and then banks are running scared because it's a lot of money. Now what these guys did, and the reason I said they went full gorilla, is I'd almost like to shake their hand. With the full gorilla, they not only say they took $1 million, I'm just making up numbers here, they took $1 million of their own money, had it in their investment account, bought stocks and stuff like that. They went to 4 or 5 different banks, borrowed money from those banks, some based on the equity that they already had in their stock portfolio etiquette. They took all that money, shoved it all into their stock count, and then went 5x leverage on it and invested it into recovery plays. That's extremely aggressive. If they'd reached out to me, I'd have told them to put it in AMC, and they'd be making money right now. It was one of the only green stocks today. Big plus. The other great news going on right now is the Suez Evergreen is back in the canal, and it's on its way now. They said there was some hull damage and stuff. Man, this was actually a pretty impressive feat. I don't know if you guys have been following it, but there's apparently thousands of ships stuck out at sea right now trying to wait for this thing to get dislodged and get out of here. And I was just looking at it. These are 40-foot connexes for all my military members and stuff out there. We're all super familiar with these guys. Look how many there is. I think I counted like 20 across this way and like 24 long way. 40-foot connexes. So just based on my simple math, this is like 900 and something feet. But actually I think it breaks it down for us, and it does some comparisons and stuff for us. This thing's as tall as a skyscraper, 1,312 feet. Dang, as long as it is tall, that's crazy. And then you also got to look at the actual pictures of how many are stacked up on the sides of this thing. When I was looking at some pictures before, it's just absolutely insanity. They had to dig out this whole section here, and they have, at one point, I think they had like 6 or 7 little tugboats out there pulling in every direction, trying to get it out of this channel. But yeah, it looks like it's going to cause a backup for probably the next few weeks or maybe even months, just because all these ships, just getting them to line up and go back in individually and stuff like that. It's going to take a while and a lot of redirecting to get this issue fixed. The big hurdle's done now we got to play catch up probably for the next week or so, but I'm glad that's over with and we don't have to hear about it anymore. Probably we'll move on with our life. Now one stock I wanted to talk about, I already kind of gave you a glimpse of it there, is Humbl. If you're not familiar, it was TSNP, and they changed to Humbl just I want to say like last week or so. This is actually a pretty impressive stock. I can't remember if it was on how was it? There it is. Boom, boom. HMBL, ticker symbol. Now, the reason I want to kind of go over this a little bit is originally I had bought into it back before the reverse merger, and I had bought into it for about, I want to say like 30 cents, or no, my bad, about 13 or 14 cents. And I want to say it was probably in this area here. I ended up selling it for $1 something. It was pre-merger. I sold it for like $1.17 pre-merger, and there was a few reasons I was kind of nervous about it. This is definitely 100% a hype stock. A lot of new details, a lot of stuff coming out, and it's so much stuff that they're trying to do and attempting to do that it actually kind of makes me a little bit worried. But at the same time, if they're able to accomplish half the stuff that they're setting out to do, then this could be definitely a game changer. Now, what they want to do is they want to do inter-country relationships based on like crypto. So when I travel to, say, France, I can just walk into one of the grocery stores, gas stations there, and use the same app that I've been using here in America the whole time. Walk up, purchase my coffee, everything like that. It's extremely effective, and it also makes it very easy for people who travel or have to send money to other countries, stuff like that. It makes it super easy for you to be able to accomplish that. They also recently launched news that they're getting into NFTs and doing some of that kind of stuff. They bought out Tickerai, which it's a ticket ordering platform for concerts, venues, stuff like that. So you'll be able to do it directly from their app. It's also a lot of social integration. You'll be able to chat with your friends. They're trying to do a whole lot on this one platform, which is the only thing that kind of worries me, because there is a big chance of some of that not being able to come to fruition. The initial reason I invested is just because of the crypto-based, assets. You can actually, be able to trade and move money around back and forth, and as the markets increase, it adjusts to whatever currency that you're actively spending in wherever country you actively are. So I really like that aspect of it, and I think it has a lot of potential for that, and I kind of want to make sure they keep their focus more towards that instead of a lot of the hype. And so anyways, as they did it, there was a lot of hype running up all the way up to the name change here, and then it's kind of falling back down. And the reason I kind of am bringing it up now is because it's definitely a one to watch now, because as we're coming back down, I think we're right about the spot where we're probably going to make another turn and transition. As you see, this thing got all the way up to $7.72, all the way from a low of 30 cents, which is absolutely insane. This thing is built to run. It definitely is overvalued at this time. Doesn't mean it's overvalued, but it definitely, by your fundamental analysis, it's overvalued. It's just now launching in most of these other countries. It's not even in the United States yet. They did launch a few like Humbl shops and stuff like that, where you can kind of go online and purchase stuff from them. But as far as everything else, as far as the currency and stuff like that, it's not really here yet. They're also open up to where businesses can go in and use them as a transaction service, just like Square and stuff like that, which is kind of huge. But if you look at the chart here, it's definitely set up for another nice bounce. It's been beat down with all of this stuff going on, and I think with the ticker symbol change and everything else going on, I think it's getting ready to start coming back up, and very well, buying in now at 320, riding it back up to $7 sounds like pretty easy money to me. So I'm definitely going to watch this point right here and see what happens. If it starts to go back up, then I'll definitely buy back in. If it continues to go back down, then I'll continue to watch and see what happens. Because like I said, by a fundamental analysis, this is definitely overvalued right now at this time. Jumping back in, if you look at most of our stocks right now, a lot of them are following the same trend lines, especially anything hype or tech or anything like that. Palantir, we are getting higher lows. Man, this thing's been taking a beating, and I don't know how. April 14th is the double click event. I think it's going to bring this stock back up. I need it to get back to about 30 so I can retire, and we'll be good to go. I've been putting almost everything into this. I started out with a lot of short-term calls. That was a bad mistake on my part. Lost a little bit of money. So I've turned it more towards leaps. I've been buying a lot of 2023 $20 calls, stuff like that. I think I was picking them up for about $900, $950. Man, it seems like easy money. In 3 years, it's going to go up at least $9. And it doesn't have to do it, because if it rips to 50, then I'll probably cut most of them loose, and I'll start selling covered calls anyway. So I'm not that paranoid about it. I just needed to get back to this point so I can take some of my money back out and rebalance my portfolio. I went a little extra on Palantir. Now back to AMC. AMC has been killing it. Like I said, it was one of the only green stocks today. It didn't close green by a huge amount, but it's definitely green. I've seen a lot of people doing technical analysis on this, but I haven't seen anybody pay attention to just the absolute obvious here. We had the little squeeze here, a bounce, and it keeps hitting this resistance point here. Looks like we've created a nice new resistance for the stock. So I expect it to either come back over, maybe come back down, but either way, I think it's going to continue to bounce off of this. And then I'm thinking we're probably going to get a new high, all-time high altogether, with the amount of people coming into the stock as well as institutional investors watching it. The only thing that does have me a little worried is the actual institution itself, AMC. But other than that, as far as apes go, we're ready. Diamond handing this thing until I make enough to retire off it too. But that's about all I want to kind of go over today. If you guys have any questions about anything, or want me to do a video on anything else, just leave me a comment below and I'll be happy to answer. And if you can, hit the like and subscribe button for me. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you guys. I hope you learned something. If you didn't, I apologize. I'm new.